journeying through life, there's so many examples of who you could be. Yeah. And, society tries to tell you who you should be. Yeah. But there is nobody like you.
Come on.
There is nobody who does the same things that you do. Yeah. In the way that you do. There's nobody who has the same lifestyle that you do. Yeah. Nobody has the same background that you do. And I think trying to draw away from that does you and God a disservice.
Welcome to Things Hoped For, an odyssey between hopes and realities. This podcast will explore and exercise the vehicle of faith to help us understand how to get to our destination. Where are we going, you ask? Well, to the land that God promised you, a land flowing with milk and honey. So, are you ready?
Oh my gosh, how y'all doing? You look so good. You look so good. Come on. Well, thank you. If you guys are hearing all these extra voices in the background, this is our live show. This is season 2, episode 8 of Things Hoped For, and I am so excited to be joined on this episode with a couple of girlfriends of mine, a couple of new friends, new faces, and we actually are doing this. This is the first live show ever. I'm really excited. So, let's get into it, okay? We want to get to know you. So we love to have, we usually do something called 3 random questions. So in the spirit of that, we're going to do Never Have I Ever. And so what we're going to do, this is the Christian version, y'all. This ain't the other version, all right? Right. So we're going to do, because it's a group of us, just raise your hand. If this has ever been you, don't lie. Jesus is here, okay? Never have I ever accidentally forgotten to text someone back and then pretended I didn't see it. Raise your hand. Just everybody raise your hand. Just, yeah, don't lie. Come on. Never, and these apps are killing us, because then now it's going to tell me that, so-and-so read it. Don't expose me, okay? Period. That's it. Never have I ever hidden a snack or food so no one else at home could eat it. You know what? Kiki, you trying to get all of us? Oh, you never? Oh, you're good. Oh, bless your heart. That's really sweet. You've never done that? Wow. Okay. All right. I thought we was all in the boat. Okay. Never have I ever Googled myself. I've Googled myself. What? Listen, okay? For somebody to say my name wrong or anything. Mm-hmm. Okay. Never have I ever run into a celebrity. I ran into a celebrity one time. Is the guy off of who? I ran into Michael Jackson. That was really random. What? Are you lying to me?
No, it was at Walter Reed. Seriously.
Listen, the mic can't even. Hold on, girl. Grab the mic, because you got to. Homegirl said she ran into. Go ahead, tell him.
Apparently, he had came to Walter Reed to view or see, I guess, the veterans, and it was after 9/11, and my mom was there. She was like, well, go down. Everybody's saying he's down there. And yeah, I ran down getting Subway, seeing Michael Jackson.
If y'all missed it, I was like
randomly 7 or 8, so I did not understand who I was. I knew that was the guy from Thriller, but I was 7 or 8. Okay, I was like,
well, that's amazing. That's pretty cool. Okay. Well, I mean, you topped that one. No, yeah, I don't think you can top that one. Okay, you good? You good? Might as well just hold it. Mm-hmm, yeah, thank you. We already figuring this out as we can. Okay, all right. I'm going to give the last one. Let's see. What's a good one? I'm going to skip that one. Okay. Okay. Never have I ever polluted the air, and you know what that means, and blamed someone else. You toot it. I love it. the transparency. I appreciate that. I really do. I might as well go ahead and put my so let me not lie. It's God's. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, y'all are fun. It was great knowing you, and I know not to stand next to you next time. I know not to stand next to you. Oh my gosh, yeah. So many things are going on right now, y'all, and I just love the fact that we're here and we get to share this space together. It was like the last episode where I had announced that we were launching this space, and it's here. So it's really, really cool just to be here, just to share it with y'all too. And a lot of things have happened in not just the last episode up until now, but even in the making of this studio. And so I titled this episode based off of everything that was going on. In the last episode I shared, and Jasmine was our guest. And Jasmine, I just want to honor you again, because literally what you said, I feel like this space would not have come. I really do believe that God placed you in that word that you shared in the specific timing, and because this space would not have happened. And also you shifted my mindset. So I literally have been preaching this to everybody. One thing that she had said was that the way that you go after with zealousness, because God was teaching me about being zealous, because being aggressive is not something that's natural to my character. I'm a people person. I'll be in front of your face, but I'm not like a, hey, hold on, come here, do you know Jesus? That kind of thing. Or even just in the workplace and stuff. But God has placed me in my promised land, finally. And he's telling me, you got to take territory though. So you got to take territory. This isn't a thing where I'm going to do it for you and you lay back. No, you got to take it. So just understanding, okay, what does it mean to be a warrior? What does it mean to be zealous after what God has for you? And one of the things that Jasmine said was that the way she knows to attack a thing is when she senses that God has maintained an area, meaning that he's opened a door and he's maintained the opening of that door and given you room to actually go through it. So one of the ways that had happened with this space was not only the idea, but the finances to back it up. My parents, bless God for them, they sponsored everything, but the speed, the way it happened, and the testimony has to be a whole nother episode in itself. But originally, I wanted this space to come out in September, October. I was not thinking less than a month. And it definitely wasn't going to be all this. Listen, y'all, I was going to clean up the basement for y'all. Slap together a nice curtain to close it off, drop the price to $20 an hour, give y'all the podcast equipment, and at least start from there. And I don't think, that's not to say to anybody that you shouldn't start if it's not perfect, because I do also strongly believe in start with what it is that you have. But God wanted to do something more. And woe to me if I would have been oh, well, a month is too soon. And, because that's how I'm thinking in my head. I'm managing all these things and whatnot. So when the doors open, go through it. And that's how you know to be zealous after something. That's how you know your energy is in oasis. So I want to thank you again for that. I've literally been, yes, girl. Been repeating it. So now we're here. We're taking territory. We're still fighting. We're understanding what fighting looks like and all these things. And so the title of today's episode is Fight the Good Fight. Yes. And God's been teaching me that. I've been asking him okay, what is the good fight? First off, how do we fight? And I remember, so God's been teaching me a couple of things. One about myself, I'm a doer. I had to learn through him how to be a beer, how to be. And so the things that he normally instructs me in is completely opposite from my character. So when I said, all right, bet we're taking territory, I'm going to send 11 emails to, potential clients. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And he's like, actually, I want you to stand. I'm like, stand? What do you mean? And the verse that came up to my mind was put put on the full armor of God and stand. And so the way that he wanted me to partner with him in taking territory was to stand firm in the promise that he's given. So it's more, the battle is more of a position of fighting the good fight of whose word will you believe? When I wake up in the morning, am I going to choose to believe the promise that God gave me, which is this year I'm going to see 100-fold from the seeds that I plant? Or am I going to wake up and be like, God, I'm still unemployed. Hello, this is year 8. The client still ain't called back, this, that, and then going down that spiral. So I'm understanding that the fight, the good fight, is not actually just like a moment thing. It's actually an everyday thing. In fact, I dare to say it's an every second thing. It's an every second thing. And I remembered, so the verse that I wanted us to like kind of think through as we're talking and chatting was 1 Timothy 6:12. And in that, he's talking about the fight, the good fight verse. And I remembered like understanding that fighting the good fight is a mindset thing. Literally, I swear Pastor Stephen be in my notes. Like, no, I'm telling y'all, every time, and it's really God, every time I have the podcast and God's giving me the topic or something like that, I go into service because the podcast is on Sunday. I go into service and I'm like, Pastor Stephen. now, come on, our notes are a little too close. Like, come on. But it was so amazing. He literally just repeating that, like, fighting the good fight is a majority of the times a mindset thing, because it's again, who it is that you believe. And I remembered that, hey, the definition of faith is the things hoped for that are not seen, the things that you hope for that are not seen. And God brought to mind the connection between our eyes and our mind. Right? And so our eyes are the gateway to us processing the things that are around us and stuff like that. And so I was asking myself, I'm like, well, that makes sense as to why faith is a fight, because if naturally my eyes are supposed to communicate with my brain and faith is based off of what I don't see, that's the fight right there. It's a fight against what naturally happened, what my body is naturally meant to do. And then I started to think about, like people who have been just living life without their sight, right? Like who have been so strong to be able to just continue living, people who have vision deficiencies or are blind and things like that. And I think it's interesting how their body adjusts to heightening everything else to become their eyes. Their sense of smell becomes their eyes. Their sense of touch becomes their eyes. It's like you got like 5 more superpowers just because you lost one. And then what the tools that are even used, like, your walking stick and things like that. And as soon as I thought about the walking stick, I was like, oh my gosh, that's your rod that guides me. And he brought me to understanding, okay, the verse of the Psalms that David said, which was like, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And just understanding, like, what do shepherds even use that for, And then seeing that it's an extension of their arm when they're guiding and protecting the sheep, especially, I think it was more so, the staff. And this was a cool part. So with the staff with the hook, right? Look at my hook. The staff with the hook, that one is more so for guidance. And as it's the extension of the shepherd's arm, it also is the thing. The hook is there because sheep are actually really strong. They're much more powerful when their head is down. So they grab, when you're getting your sheep, you have to grab them around their neck first and first lift their head up. I said, okay, Lord, I see what you're saying. Like, if you're going to fight this good fight as his sheep, you're going to have to continuously keep your head up. Like, continuously keep your head up. So with the idea of the fact that the fight is a continuous fight, and it's not going to stop until we meet Jesus. And then also knowing that the fight is a fight to keep your head up against all odds. And then he finally told me, I said, the reason why I need you, even through the disappointment, even through the pain, and even through, 8 years unemployment, blah, 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 all that stuff, I need you to keep your head up because I can't do anything if you don't have faith. without faith, if you don't have faith, it's not possible to please God. So like literally he cannot move unless you have faith. And so how do we take solace in the fact that like, as soon as y'all get up, it's time to tussle. Like as soon as you get up and then you go to bed and then you got to do it the next day. So I wanted to set that scene because a lot of the questions that we I think a lot of the vision of Things Hoped For too is the fact that like just sharing the practical steps of how you can make this, how this fight needs to be applied in every area of your life and how you could be victorious in every part of your life, because consistency is the key to seeing any of it happen. So I'm gonna go through y'all's questions and then we'll have Kiki go around and Jasmine's been holding the mic for a little bit, but I definitely wanted to set that stage because it's literally in every topic, every discussion. So I cannot wait to hear what y'all have to say. So for the audience that's listening, we had some of our guests here and also our virtual guests submit some questions. So like we're just going to have each member of today's live podcast answer them, or any thoughts that you have, and if you have any questions here. So let's see, maybe we introduce our name, just say your name, and then your response to that question. I'll go ahead and say this one. Okay, so the question one, how do I evangelize, especially working in the public sector when I'm a shy and quiet person? Oh, that's a good one. Technical difficulties, y'all. But I'll say I can start while we're getting that mic together. And I remember this is one of the questions I had asked Jazz too, because like what I shared in the beginning, I'm not naturally an aggressive person. So, and knowing that Jazz herself, she's also very shy. And so what's crazy to me though is her story is like she's raised, how much she raised? $200,000? It was $200,000, right? Like $200,000 in capital for her business. And so this requires like stepping up on stage and doing the things. So it's like, I asked her, I said, how can you do that and still be a shy person, you know? I think for me personally, when it comes to evangelizing, I think you just gotta see, you have to have the why and know that the why is bigger than you, right? Like, I think that part of the fighting the good fight is understanding that there's God in you who is greater. The one in you is greater than the one in the world. And knowing that, like, I think something that scares us is that we have to have all the words. And like, you really don't actually, you know, you just gotta open your mouth. That's it, and allow God to continue to lead you. But let me give the floor to y'all if anybody else has something. Okay. Go ahead, girl.
Hi, everybody. My name is Pearl. Hi.
Hey, Pearl.
When it comes to evangelizing, I always tell people, know your strengths and know how you can evangelize. Because evangelize doesn't look like one way.
That's
and
good.
I feel like we should play into our strengths. So you may be shy and you may not be able to go in front of the crowd like at Walmart. You see that one minister, he's like, listen, come hear the word of God. And he's like, hold on now.
Right.
You may not be able to do that. But find somebody you're comfortable talking to and just ask them a few questions. And through that relationship, through building that relationship, you're evangelizing. So it doesn't have to be on a large scale. Start where you're comfortable, and that can grow over time. So I always tell people, like, play into your strengths.
Oh, that's good. Start where you're comfortable. I think another interesting part of her question, too, was the public sector part. Because we even know, hey, separating church from state. That's really good, because it's almost like already in the world there's a boundary there on top of you being shy. Like on top of you wouldn't even have really wanted to do it if there was the opportunity. So does anybody have any? Yeah.
I think that with evangelizing, it kind of humbles you a little bit, because you kind of have to check yourself and check your lifestyle to make sure that you're a reflection of God's word and a reflection of God's love as well. So I think that one way, like when we think about evangelizing, like we think about like passing out like Bible scriptures or like telling someone to give your life to Christ. But I think that it starts with your behavior within that job. Your
Girl, you better teach us. Come on.
I think it can start with like your character, how you carry yourself. Are you reflecting, the commandments that God has given us? Are you lying? Are you not? Like, are you arriving late? And none of us are perfect, but if we're striving for the standard that God has called us to, then that's a great way to start. Even if you're shy, I think that a role model in my life is my mom. And the way my mom, like, you can't meet her and not know that she's a woman of God.
Come on.
Like, in everything, like, she's blessing people. She like, the way she carries herself is something that I aspire to be like. And so I think that that could be the first way. And naturally, when you're like that, people are drawn to you. They're drawn to, like, share their situations with you. They're drawn to, like, it could be like someone at work having a bad day, and guess what? Like, they're coming to you, and that's an avenue for you to then introduce them to God. So that's one way to think about it. I'm not saying, like, don't go out there and still preach the gospel, but make sure that your life is also the gospel that you're preaching.
That's good. That's so good. I think that's the most practical, like, way too. And I love what you said, because whether you're in the it's almost like we can cover it up by, like, saying, I don't necessarily have to speak about Jesus. I literally am living like he's living in me. My lifestyle is that. And now if you ask, there we go. That's that door. I'll tell you why I got the peace and the joy. But thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to go to the next one. So we got time for, because y'all, we got 10 questions. If we can get through all of them, that would be fantastic. But we'll see. Oh, this is a good one. Ooh, how can you overcome the temptation of comparison?
This is so hard.
Ooh.
Especially if you're creative.
Yeah. You know what? To that point, I literally had to unfollow. To be honest, okay, so I did two things. I had to unfollow all the fashion girlies I love. Not necessarily because I was looking at them in comparison, though that could happen sometimes, but more so that, like, I want what I get from God to, like, be clear, and not be, like, infiltrated by anything anyone else is doing, because then I think at the end of the day, we end up all doing the same thing. And it's cute, you're wearing the outfit in a different way, or like, you're saying the same thing in a different way, but it's like, God is the source of original creation. So if I want anything original, I'm gonna go straight to him. I'll say, like, as far as creativity, that's one thing that I've done. Just don't allow it to happen. Like, I don't have to follow you. Like, anytime I want to check up on you, girl, I'll go to your page, and, like, definitely support and all these things and whatnot. But if I feel like I'm like continuously, like, comparing myself to you, I'm like, you know what, maybe that's just a season for me to separate myself from this type of content or whatever,
I think that I don't want to, like, monopolize the microphone, but I'm just going to agree with what you said, because right now I'm going through this season where I'm trying to, like, express, like, all the gifts that God has given me. Yeah. And it's kind of difficult because, like, I want to create a video, but in my mind I'm thinking, oh, this person's video has 2.7 million views. How can I get that? And then I'm using trending sounds on Instagram. I'm trying to, like, copy, like, what's already out there and, like, being influenced by I don't want to say the wrong sources, but the wrong sources for that period. So I would say definitely, like, overcoming comparison would be taking a break from whether, like, the main outlets that you find yourself comparing yourself to, and really, like, just dousing yourself in, just, like, swimming in God's, like, purpose for you, or like, even, like, trying to figure out what God's purpose is. It's so funny that you talked about fighting and now you're talking about comparison, because, like, these are things that I'm currently struggling with. So I'm, like, talking to myself as well. I was just telling Audrey before we started, like, I need to get off of YouTube, because, like, the more you compare and then it doesn't align with what God has told you to create, and so you're, like, in analysis paralysis. Like, I need to have my lighting this way because this person said to have it this way, and then you see another video saying, no, you didn't have it backlit, and I'm like, oh, he also has, like, 2.7 million followers. I want to just take a step back. We all have different talents, different gifts, and just allow yourself hear directly from God how he wants you to, like, distribute the talents that he has given you to everyone around.
That's so good. That's so good. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead. And then we could pass it like this, so that no, you're good. You're good.
So my name is Ebony.
Hey,
and,
Ebony.
Yes, I just wanted to. I think that all the points that you guys have brought up with this question on comparison has been really, really good. But I think one thing that we don't think about is, okay, if I remove this Instagram page or looking at YouTube or wherever you're getting your inspiration from, what am I replacing it with?
Come on, that's good.
And we need God.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But if you remove something,
Yeah.
then I need to call her. Can you be my accountability? Can we meet up so that I need to work on this content? You need to work on this content. And we're on the same page. Y'all do different things to a certain degree, but you also are content creators. So filling that space with a practical way to still get things done, because you still need to learn about the lighting.
Yeah, period.
You know,
right. The lighting is how you got the lights.
Right. You understand what I'm saying? You may need to take a master's course where nobody else is taking that, a master class, or you may need to invest in a mentor or whatever the case may be. This is for anybody, but I don't think we should just remove things and then we're just like, okay, God, but I need to hear from you.
Yes, that's good.
We hear from him through people and through connection. It's just an opportunity to make a different type of connection.
That's really good. Another practical way that I've been able to battle comparison is a gratefulness journal. So I had a gratefulness journal. I did that for some time. And another thing that I would do is if I saw whatever it is that I was comparing myself to that was also leading to jealousy and envy, I'd speak highly of that person. I'd literally go and comment, girl, I love that you're doing this. Sir, I love that you're doing this, whatever. And to me, it helped to kill that seed of jealousy that would have had the chance to be planted, but like it didn't. So I think sometimes honestly, like the Bible says, like when someone slaps you across your face, like you literally act in kindness, and that would be like pouring heaping coal on them. And so like I kind of just thinking about it in the way that like if I'm starting to feel that type of way, which is not of God, I'm like, bet, let me be of God then, and like do the complete opposite. Anybody else? I know this is a good question, so yeah, go ahead, girl.
My name is Princess.
Hey, Princess.
So for me personally, I think that overcome comparison has been a journey in understanding who I am specifically. Yes, who God is, but who I am because of God, and really trying to exemplify my authenticity because journeying through life, there's so many examples of who you could be, and society tries to tell you who you should be, but there is nobody like you.
Come on.
There is nobody who does the same things that you do in the way that you do. There's nobody who has the same lifestyle that you do. Nobody has the same background that you do. And I think trying to draw away from that does you and God a disservice. So I think that really tuning in, tapping into what's inside, what all the things that life has brought to you, that's the key. Because nobody can replicate.
Yes.
Nobody can replicate you. And you trying to replicate somebody else, it doesn't work.
Come on.
Because that's not what you're made to do. You're made to do you.
Yeah.
Authentically.
Come on.
So
what I'm getting from you is basically if you are so concerned with you and developing you don't have time to compare yourself with anybody else. And that's the word. Definitely you can't. There's no more room. There's no more space because I'm so focused on what God is doing in my life. How can I become a better me? How can I stay consistent? There's literally no room for me to compare myself. I love that. I love that. That's a good one. Okay. Yes, girl, go ahead.
So I think that now, like thinking deeper about it, like the aspect of comparison may not be horrible.
Okay.
Like, it may not be bad.
Yeah.
It's what comes after you compare. Would be like the defining moment of that. So like if I were to like go in and say I'm shopping for a new camera, I'm gonna compare my options and see like which one meets like and aligns with all that like I'm looking for. Like as a photographer, like I need this, like, I need it working low light, I need this to be like wide angle, whatever. So like I'm comparing like the different options and then I end up picking like what's best aligned with me. So I think that on the back end, if you're well grounded in God's word and you understand exactly what he said you should be, like this is who I've called you to be and this is what, like obviously like we don't know like 10 years from now, like what we're going to be. So like trusting in God, and like I think that's a defining moment of like I see something and I feel like I should compare myself to that person in certain ways. Like I can compare certain things and I'll be like, okay, maybe these are things that I need to work on. But then what comes after, like the feelings that come after, if it's like you're now like jealous of that person or you're wanting like what they have and you're feeling like certain feels, I think in that moment like you can ask God for help, because it will happen. Like I can see someone walking down the street and I probably don't follow them, like I don't know anything about them, I'm just like I like the way she looks, like I like her hair compared to mine, and then do I then see it like it's just like what comes after that matters, you know. So I think that just like always being asking God for help, really. Like, and then if you see something that you want, like you said, speak highly of them. But something that's very like, especially like Nigerian culture, like if someone buys a house and I know that I've been wanting to buy a house and I'm comparing myself to them, you can buy them a housewarming present and say, I'm sowing this into your life, knowing that God is one day going to do it for me.
That's good.
So that's like a way to turn it around. Like, and you know, you may become friends with them and they might introduce you to their realtor. And now you have like idea of like different programs that can help you buy a house one day. So just like finding a way to like sow into that person's life. And also like reaching out to them and saying, hey, like forming that relationship, because like it can come from comparison, but you never know, that might be your mentor to lead you to like where God has asked you to be. So it's what comes after you compare sometimes in certain situations. So that's a different way to look at it.
That's really good. I love that, because it's like sometimes you need to, I think Pastor Stephen said it one time in one of the leadership stuff, where he's like, it was in Builders Conference, and he was talking about how I wouldn't know where to put people and where to delegate if I didn't compare myself to them, because then I know my strengths and then I also know my weaknesses. So now I love what you said, because then it's like I can look at my weaknesses not as deficiencies but as a place for someone else to become strong. So yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Okay, this is a good one too. What are your thoughts on secular things? I feel like Christians especially focus on just music, but not books, film, TV, podcasts, and such. And is everything secular necessarily bad? Give me that mic.
No.
Period. It's just no. Point blank, no. Makes sense.
Hey, everybody. So when it comes to things that are secular, I don't think everything that is secular is necessarily bad, but I do think that we have to look at the kind of influence it has on us.
Yes, that's good.
Because oftentimes we're just like, music. Baby, that show you watching? Okay.
Listen. All right.
I'm gonna share something with you all. So I recently deactivated Twitter, and let me tell you why. Because I'm not saying Twitter is like terrible, it's bad, but I realized that I was getting exposed to way too many things, and I was desensitized, right? So I was like, okay, I go open Twitter and I see things that I don't like seeing this. And it's not just the things that I'm saying, it's the people's views on certain things and how I see that the world is getting desensitized to certain things. And I was like, if it's not impacting me, I'm embracing it.
Parle, say that again.
If it's not impacting me, I'm embracing it. Because you know how you see something, you're like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But when you start seeing that thing that's terrible and you're just like, another day, you're embracing it. You're being desensitized. So I think that with everything that we take in, we got to take it in with a grain of salt. Even environments. Let me tell you something. Even where you work. Because sometimes you get so wrapped up in that environment, you start to think, okay, this is just how it is. You know, it's go hard or go home. And then you become a monster because you've embraced that. You've embraced that.
Yeah.
So I think that we should always use discernment. And it's not always easy to use discernment.
Yeah.
And you know how I knew that I had to get rid of Twitter? Because when I had to get rid of it, I was really like, God, do I really have to get rid of it? I'm like, I'm trying to negotiate and I'm like struggling with it. And I'm like, even when I deleted it, I was going back to Twitter. I said, wow, this is programming. So it was like, okay, so I need to step away from this because I've been desensitized and it's going to impact my growth. So it's everything that you take and know your weaknesses, because when it comes to your faith, you know that some things that might trigger somebody.
Come on, that part.
Might not trigger you.
That's right.
But and that's okay, right? But understand, look, alcohol doesn't trigger me. But there's other things that will trigger me. You know what I mean? So know yourself and understand that, hey, as I'm growing in faith, I need to understand that I don't need to expose myself to this because I know that it can impact me in this way.
Yeah.
And that's all, guys.
That's good. That's good.
I'm Ebony.
Hey, Ebony.
Yes. But one thing that I wanted to say, I agree with Princess and I agree with Pearl, because there's been some things that I've had to cut out, certain type of music. This was like younger, like Little Kim. I was like, I gotta stop listening to her. Like, she would get me so like riled up.
Yes.
And I was just like, So I stopped. I had to stop. But one thing that I want to say is whatever they are doing in the world, we need to bring it in from our Christian worldview perspective. And I think that that's what's lacking. So there is someone on Instagram that I follow, and she specializes in talking about sex.
Come on.
You know who I'm talking about? Is she Christian? No, she's not Christian.
Because I found a Christian one.
Okay. Yeah, but she's not. But I feel like I'm a married woman.
Right.
You know what I mean? And something she talking about, I need to know. You know, and
maybe you did
it. You know what I mean? And I mean, this is something that goes on in Christian homes. This is what people do.
That's
you
right.
know,
That's
and
right.
she's giving valid information.
That's right.
Now, if I was in a different space, should I be looking at that? It may
Come
be
on,
more of a
that's good.
temptation
That's
at that
good.
point. You know what I mean? But I think you have to evaluate where you are in life.
Yeah.
And do you have someone that you can talk to about this? I think that that's the piece that we have to also bring in. I think we go through a lot of things by ourselves and we kind of can get a little shameful about stuff. And it's like, no, we really need, I need to talk about this. You know, does this work for you? What do you think? You know, get some feedback. And so I don't think everything is bad, but I do think that that is an opportunity for us as believers to create a safe space to discuss that.
That's really good, especially if as believers our mandate is to go out into the world and bring people home. So that's what they're going to be talking about anyway. And let's not forget, we was in the world too. We was talking about the same things, you know. So there's that point, and then there's also this scripture I love because I remember a couple of friends. So I've had a music journey. Jasmine knows about this. My music journey of. I remember one time God was like, I need you to stop listening to such and such. I said, okay. It took me a minute. Then I said, you know what, God, if I'm going to give you my playlist, you're going to have to, these Christian rappers at this point, that was like, they're not not doing it. I was like, and that was a while ago. So, I mean, of course, the Christian rap game has come up and all this stuff. And we got R&B now. We got Afro beats, all the things. But at that point, I was like, I can't do Lecrae much longer. Like, this is the only, come on. And I realized that when you give God something, he really does fulfill your desire. It seems like such a little thing, like, but it's like, God, here's my music playlist. Like, you know, you're telling me to stop for a reason, you know, and I'm going to trust you. And so it just brings up this verse. It's Paul who said it. And this is the verse that I share all the time when I'm sharing this story, is that Paul is talking to Christians, and he's saying that if you have a new believer, and let's say the new believer is still young in his faith, so when he's eating meat from idols, that's what they did at the time, and he thinks it's wrong in his head, but you know, you're an adult Christian, you know that this is just meat. Idols are dead anyway, like they're not, so, but you're eating it. But if that person doesn't understand it yet, then you don't want to tempt them. You don't want it to make it seem like you're tricking them to do it. So it's like he's basically saying, what is sin to you? Let it be sin to you. Right? So if God has told you, like me, using myself for example, you need to stop listening to Tank. Well, I'm sad. Okay? Like, that's to me. If God has told you, hey, I need you off of Twitter. Because at the end of the day, it's a test of your obedience, you know? So it's like, and Paul said too, not everything, like, we are free now. Not like, we're good. Like, everything is good for us, but not everything is good, but not everything is good for us. And so that's that authenticity piece where it's like, you need to know what it is. You need to know yourself. You need to know what your triggers are and things like that, because it may not be for you at that time. So yeah, that's good. Oh, we got some good conversations going. Okay, so it's 4:02. But I'm like, I love you guys being here. So let me see. Let me pick my last good one. Some of y'all ain't talked yet. So, you know, I'm just saying. Some of us some of us who say we're shy and yet have raised 200,000. I'm just saying. Let's see. God, which one should we do? Okay. I know. I'm trying to see a good one. Okay, this is a good one. And I think this is us perfect. It's us ending on a high note with fighting this good fight. So how do you stay motivated to keep moving forward when the weight of life is dragging you down? That's a big question, but let's go. Yep. All right. There we go.
Y'all, I'm Audrey.
Hey, Audrey.
Okay, so I'm definitely someone that likes to handle things, deal with things, do things just solo. Like, I'll just do it myself. Like, I have 3 brothers. I'm the only girl. Like, I have my mom, of course, but like, I've just always been able to like move solo. But something as I've gotten older that has been increasingly like beneficial to my life and accountability and just being able to thrive in life is that C word, community. Like, I think surrounding yourself with other people that are also trying to be their best selves. Like, honestly, being in this room filled with all these creative women that are so smart and intelligent and going after God and becoming period, is like all the motivation that you need to also lean on each other, talk about your fears. And of course, they have to be people that you trust. You know, they have to be people that have shown themselves to be authentic. Like, it's really easy to just kind of wake up in the morning, go to work, act like you have it together as a content creator, post your content, but like, if you're not actually talking about your fears or your doubts or your questions or even celebrating each other, and you're celebrating your small wins, celebrating your big wins, supporting one another. Like, what joy comes from life if you're not doing it with other people, you know? So I think through church community, community that I fostered just within the African community, I'm Ghanaian, and then, you know, just connecting with other like-minded people, like being able to have the discernment and look at someone and say, you know, I see your spirit. I see what you're trying to do. I see that you're trying to, you know, getting to know people on a personal level and establishing that connection and saying like, okay, like we can do this. Like we can connect. We can see each other on this level, you know, like I think that's been super important for me and like something that I'm still learning to like step into and like be comfortable with and like really settle into. So I would definitely say just leaning on community 100%.
That's been such a big part for me because I think it's hard to keep consistent, right? We keep talking about that fight, the good fight of faith. It's hard to keep consistent, which is the practical thing to bear the fruit of whatever it is that you're hoping for. If you are doing it alone, like I on that journey of discovering what that looks like, I actually ended up forming my own community. I found that community was that key, and then like I formed it. And so, shameless plug, if you haven't heard, I have a group called Resolve. It's actually a program, and it's an accountability program. And so it's interesting because it's like it puts me in a position as a coach, but for real, it's y'all being my coach because you are helping me to stay accountable. Like you think it's for you, it is for you, but it's also for me because I just realized that like so many people have dreams, so many people have desires and things like that. But just like you said, like we have this thing. Pastor Stephen would say orphan spirit. We feel like we need to do it alone. And it's honestly so opposite from what we learn in the world. Like we learn to be self-sufficient in the world. And God's saying, no, I actually need you to be dependent on me. And in being dependent on me, that's where you get the blessing. That's where you get me. You know what I mean? You don't have to do it by yourself. And so it's a lot of unlearning that we do. But like I've said on this podcast 10 million times, and y'all will hear me say it again. Community. If Resolve don't interest you, but again, listen, group season is coming up on Union. Okay, so join that. There are some virtual ones. Get community wherever it is that you are because it is like the missing key to literally like progress in life, period.
We're a lot more similar than different.
Yes.
And I think that in itself is enough to build that, you know.
That's so good. That's so good.
Just something to piggyback off of what you said. Community is so necessary, I think, because we will fall short. We will fall short. And if we don't have people to pick us up,
come on.
We're going to stay there a lot longer than you need to. If you stay there forever, you know, it's so crucial to have the affirmations that other people have for you. And also the right people, godly counsel. Yes. God is speaking through your community.
Come on.
So if you don't have people around you,
that's a closed door of God's communication that you leave it closed.
That is what God said. We are not supposed to be alone.
That's good.
And if we're alone, that's when the devil can start playing with you.
That's good.
So
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. Jasmine, we're gonna end with you. Yes, girl. Give us the finale.
I have to introduce myself again. You said my name like 12
times. Go
okay.
ahead.
My name is Jasmine. But it actually kind of makes me think both the community aspects, but also down to when we spoke a little bit earlier about comparison.
Yeah.
That's actually one of my things where it would stop my motivation because it's not that I'm jealous. I think I'm not good enough.
Come on.
And so I had to get in my space of like, what does God have for me and take myself into prayer? But most importantly, it was that sense truly of community. And it was community and ways of like, where do I want to be? And I'm even in this transition now of like, is Maryland really where I need to be? Is my community really here? Like,
come on.
And so I started going to people that are doing things like me. Like, I want to be in those rooms. Like, I'm not unfollowing you on Instagram, on IG. No, I want to be where you at. Let me pull up with you.
Right.
And I realized when I actually did that last week, I randomly did this trip to New York, and I was contemplating. I just traveled back from work, and I felt like God has been putting people in around me that is like, this is your next step. And not the next step is like, they can help me from like opening the door, but they're changing my perspective of what it could be.
Yes, that's what community will do.
And so when I'm starting to realize, I went to that event, And I'm literally talking to like the editor of Business of Fashion.
Yeah.
And she's like, I was like, yeah, I don't even understand Fashion Week. I don't know who did you get an invite from who? Like, I don't understand. And she was like, you have every reason to be in that room. And there's hundreds of people that should not even be in that room. You have a product. You have a purpose.
Yes.
And she was like, you really need to like get around people. Like, she's like, just come. You'll be shocked. She's like, literally book a hotel, don't have no agenda plan. Just be in the areas. And you will be shocked at what you would see. Wow. And I'm starting to realize, like, my community, yes, is faith-based. It's the most important because that's my accountability. But I think I'm learning, where do I want to go? Yeah. Where do I want to be? And these are the people that helped me, especially even when it came to business. I tell people all the time I lost my parents, as you know, before I was 18. And this whole business, this came from who God has placed in my life. Yeah. They're the people that be like, Jazz, why are you quiet? What's going on? What do I need to help you with? Why you ain't posted? Is work getting too crazy? How can we help you? How can we jump in? My business failed. They are literally the ones that was like, all right, so this is what we're doing. I'm sending the emails on your behalf. Okay, so this person, like, I'm learning that sense. So my motivation, yes, it does come from community. That's like my confirmation check. But most importantly, I'm learning to take my promise to God. And that's when I need to keep reminding myself. And I started like having my legitimate battles in my office. Like when I'm feeling defeated, I'm like, all right, drive to your office, Jasmine, be around your stuff. And I literally close the door and I just go at it. And I'm like, this is what your word says. And this is the yes and the amens. And like, I may not even go back at it that same day. I may like, all right, now go to sleep, do whatever you need to do. But that's what I have to do as my reset constantly.
Yeah. Jazz, that's so good. You're saying that fighting your battles and continuing to keep motivated in fighting your battles requires you to change your environment. It requires you. I remember when I was, believing for a house, like I would go to open houses. I would go drive around DC. Like I would go call people who just got their house. How'd you get it? Whatever. No, I don't have the money to get it now. But I'm like, I'm preparing myself. I think that when we're talking about when God said, write the vision and make it plain, it's like, okay, yeah, you could write it, but you could also see it. You could also talk to it. Okay, I want to get married. Are you talking to recently married couples? Are you like, how is the vision surrounding you? Because honestly, fighting the good fight will become very tiresome if like literally, if all you see is the wall of Jericho in front of you. Imagine if they saw the wall. Imagine if it was just Joshua seeing the wall of Jericho. But it wasn't just Joshua. It was Joshua and all of Israel there. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's different. The wall doesn't look so big if I'm around. I got my crew. What are you talking about? I got my crew here with me. And on top of that, I got God, So that's so key. And y'all, we gonna end there. Before people start rolling to this event, knocking at the door like, hello, is it open? You said 4. But this was so great, y'all. I want to thank y'all so much for coming. Seriously, I hope we can do this again. I kind of like this format. We'll get pass the mic right next time. We'll figure it out. But I just want to again just thank you guys. I love the fact that like so many people will be able to hear your stories, be able to hear, your life. And thank you for being transparent. Honestly, I always say that's so key. It's hard. It's not easy. That's a fight, the good fight in itself, to be able to share your testimony. But the Bible says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So you might think you said a little cute one too, but you don't know how far this is actually going to go for somebody. So thank you so much. Thank you.
And also a clap for you for putting this together.
Oh,
I will clap, but I have the mic in my hand. So.
All right, y'all. That is it for season 2, episode 8.
Thanks for joining us on this month's episode. For more resources to empower your faith journey, check out our website linked in the show notes to find free downloadables, inspirational articles, and much, much more. We'd love for you to be a part of our THFam. Subscribe to our YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen to your podcast so you don't miss what's next. If this episode encouraged you, share it with someone else or consider supporting this podcast by clicking the donation link in the show notes so that we together can send the message of hope in Christ to those who need hope now. Keep in touch with us on social media at Things Hope For, and until then, see you next month. Love, Nyo Agwe.